Hello and welcome to the 56th episode with me, Beth Quatenton. Here you will find nothing but honesty, whether you like it or not, and things that you need to hear. So, a bit of a different one from me. This topic is going to be preparing your body for pregnancy. Now, I am not a female that really likes the thought of having my own children, but I am someone that is really passionate about health and just making sure you're putting your body in the best state for whatever it needs to go through. And when it comes to pregnancy, my queens, it's no different. Okay, so there are certain things we do and don't do when we are with child, and even before being with child, you know, when you're in that kind of, you both want to, have a little one, so you're getting groovy, you're in the process. So yeah, let's talk babies. Let's talk babies. And if you know me personally, you know I am not really a child person. Like, I'll be nice to them if I have to, but I don't gravitate towards children if there's children in the room. I'll gravitate away. However, that does not mean that I cannot help you get yourself in the best physical and mental, to be honest, state for when you eventually have child, have a little human raisin, because that's literally what they look like when they come out. Anyway, so yeah, let's talk babies, which is admittedly, something something that I didn't think I would be excited about talking about, but as I said, I'm massively passionate about making sure that women remain active far into their old and wise years, so yeah, this is obviously going to be a big one for a lot of people that would like a child or children, or like a whole football team of children. Right, anyway, and this is because ultimately it means that you're less likely to have a complicated labour, and you're essentially doing everything in your power that you can to make sure that no complications arise from your end. We're not getting kind of any kind of pregnancy related illnesses or anything like that, and just general illness as well. We want to kind of avoid that as much as possible, put our bodies in the best and strongest state possible for childbirth, because otherwise it's gonna, I assume it's pretty painful anyway, but yeah, why not make it as easy as possible for yourself for pregnancy and post-pregnancy, Anyway, let's get into it. So things like strengthening your pelvic floor are so incredibly important to make sure your muscles are strong enough to endure hours and hours of labour. Now, I'm not trying to, hours of labour and contraction, should I say. I'm not trying to put you off having children. We're just talking about the nitty-gritty details that we can't really not talk about, okay? Contractions and labour, the funnest part, right? Of the whole childbirth process. So yeah, we obviously want to make sure that your pelvic muscles, so that's kind of the muscles literally surrounding your pelvis, yeah, we want to make sure that they're as strong as possible, so that everything's a little bit easier, and your body can kind of, it can push a little bit more, it's like it's gonna be intense. So let's go through the lists of what we need to be mindful of when carrying a little one, and also for some of these they qualify. That's another word was needed there, but qualify came to my head, for if you're not quite pregnant yet, but you're kind of in, you're in the lead up, maybe in a few months time it would be great, like 2023 baby. Yeah, so let's get into it. So first up on my list is exercise. So from the people that I've grown up, family members, and just pregnant people that I have encountered, a lot of them have kind of had the mindset of, well, I'm pregnant, so I don't need to exercise. And this, please do not exercise when you're pregnant or pre-pregnant or just in general, okay? And now I'm not talking about exercise from a point of view of you've got to do 15 HIIT sessions per week. Absolutely not. But we want to make sure that you're still being active, like even long into your pregnancy, when it gets to kind of the, you know, ready to pop stage. We still want to remain a little bit active, okay? Obviously, as you get more heavily pregnant, it will have to reduce a little bit more, and there'll only be certain things that you can do. But it's so important to remain active during pregnancy. So please do not use pregnancy as a, you know, oh, well, you know, I'm pregnant, I'm carrying for 2, so I don't need to exercise kind of mindset, okay? We don't want that mindset. So the government recommends everyone does 150 minutes of moderate activity each week. This has been the guidelines for however long. And this is still the case for when you are pregnant, okay? It doesn't reduce much as you kind of go on. Obviously, as I said, when you're heavily pregnant or you know, there's any kind of issues with just holding yourself up, then yeah, you want to keep this for as long as you can, okay? Because, you know, not only is it going to mean that you maintain a healthy weight, and you know, it's just keeping you active and, you know, giving you those happy hormones that exercise does. Usually when we've finished it, we feel, you know, a little bit of a high, but it also ensures that we're keeping your strength up too. And as I was talking about earlier, we need to make sure those pelvic floors are strong, okay? If you are someone that has recently fallen pregnant, or you're currently trying to and you haven't been very active on the lead up, then have no fear, because you can still make changes to your health whilst pregnant, okay? You know, if you're someone that was really inactive before you got pregnant, now you're pregnant, you're thinking, oh my God, I want to be more active for my baby, for me, you know, so that I'm in the best health to be able to look after this baby, or babies, you know, if you're one of those that, you know, gets twins or yeah, gosh, I don't know how you ladies do it. Anyway, but yeah, you know, we can still, if you're in that position, you can still change it, okay? And I'm not talking about really drastic changes here, because obviously pregnancy in general is a very stressful thing on your body, so we want to make sure we're not putting more stress onto it. You know, if anything, we want to be taking that stress away. But yeah, exercises that are good for pregnancy are walking is just good for anything, anyone. Running, although don't take it up if you haven't done it before falling pregnant. I would just avoid completely. But if you are someone that has kind of, you know, been a fairly consistent runner for a while, you've fallen pregnant, you can still run, it's absolutely fine. Yeah, but as you get more heavily pregnant, you'll have to adjust distances, and yeah, just be careful with that kind of stuff. Prenatal yoga is also a really good one, because again, it will help you to strengthen all of those areas you need to. Aerobics classes are really good, and pelvic floor slash abdominal exercises in general, very good, because obviously we need to make sure our core is strong, and we need to make sure the pelvic region is strong as well. So exercises to avoid during pregnancy. And that is basically exercise that involves laying on your back for longer than a few minutes, and this is particularly more kind of a risk. You know, just don't do this after you've passed the 16-week mark of being pregnant, okay? Don't do any kind of laying on the floor exercises, or just laying on your back for longer than a few minutes. Yeah, it's just, you know, this is just not good because of the weight of your bump. The little one that's growing inside you. It basically presses on the main blood pressure. Sorry, the main blood vessel, bringing back blood. I'm really sorry. I just can't talk this morning. Anyway, let's start that again and pretend I didn't just do that. This is because of the weight of your bump, and it presses on the main blood vessel, bringing blood back to your heart, okay? So this can cause like low blood pressure, you can feel dizzy, you can feel faint. So that's basically why you don't want to be laying on your back on the floor for more than a couple of minutes. But yeah, ideally not at all after 16 weeks, okay? Okay. any kind of exercise that obviously risks your bump getting hit is obviously off limits. So things like martial arts, things like football, rugby, tennis, all that kind of stuff, you know, if you've got stuff flying at you, it's probably a good idea to give it a miss until, you know, you are post-pregnancy, you know. I mean, this was one that I found on a website and I thought I'd include it just in case any of you are avid scuba divers. So scuba diving is not considered safe as your baby will have no protection against decompression sickness and gas embolism, which is basically, I think, I don't know if I've said that right or not, but it's basically gas bubbles in the bloodstream, which obviously we do not want. So yes, give scuba diving a miss. I know so many of you are probably really avid divers. Okay, and then another one is just exercising at high altitudes. Okay, so over 2,500 meters above sea level, until you have acclimatized to that environment. Again, I don't really know why you'd be going up that high when you're pregnant, but if any of you are little adventurers and, you know, you love to go on a little hike every now and then yeah, just be aware of how far you're going, and what the altitude is going to be like as you go up. Okay, so next up we have vitamins and minerals to take when you are pregnant. Now, there are a couple of good ones that I'd really recommend that you take when you're pregnant / trying to fall pregnant. Okay, so the first one is folic acid. So this is really good, and it's best to start taking folic acid as soon as you start trying for a baby, essentially, or as soon as you find out you're pregnant. Okay, so whatever, just if you're trying / pregnant, go and get some folic acid if you don't take it already. Folic acid is very important for pregnancy because it can prevent birth defects known as neural tube defects. That's the one. Including, I'm gonna butcher this name, spina bifida, a condition that affects the spine. So around, dosage wise, around 400 milligrams every day is recommended until the end of your first trimester, which is until your 12 weeks, you know, so take it up until your 12 weeks. Next one, and this is one I would say for every human on this planet, unless you live in the desert where there's just sun all the time, you don't need them. But vitamin D, okay, especially if you live in the UK, you better be taking your vitamin D, okay. Months I would recommend taking it is from kind of September to roughly around March, April time. This is because we get a lot less sun, as we all know, there's a lot more rain, and vitamin D is really essential for kind of making sure that your sleep is good, you know, when you wake up, when you go to sleep, you know, just getting up in general. It means that that's going to be a lot less effort, shall we say, and not only that, but it can really help to affect your mood in a positive way, especially if you're someone that suffers with seasonal depression. Okay, so vitamin D also is used to keep bones and muscles healthy, and it's particularly important to take it from October to early March. There you go, as I said earlier, because of the decrease in sunlight. 10 milligrams a day is all you need. Being vitamin D deficient can affect things such as your sleep, mood, and impact your general well-being. There we go, okay, so vitamin D needed. Right, supplements to avoid whilst pregnant / trying to get pregnant, okay? So you should avoid any multivitamins containing vitamin A, which is retinol, as having too much of it can harm your baby's development. You should also avoid liver and liver products, including fish liver oil, as they are high in vitamin A too, okay? So just be really careful if you're buying like a multivitamin or a vitamin that has other vitamins in it. Check the back, make sure it doesn't have any vitamin A in, which is retinol, because yeah, we don't want to be harming no baby's development, you know. Right, one to touch on, we all kind of know the rules around alcohol and pregnancy. However, let's just go through it anyway. So alcohol, it is safer not to drink during your pregnancy as it can damage your growing baby. By avoiding alcohol, you are minimising the risks of their development and future health. Alcohol passes from your blood into the baby's placenta. Your baby can't process alcohol like you do, and too much can be extremely harmful to their development. If you carry on drinking, especially in the first 3 months of pregnancy, the risk of miscarriage, premature birth, and low birth weights are increased, okay? So best just to avoid alcohol, full stop, when you're pregnant. Okay, so let's go through nutrition whilst pregnant. Okay. So, first one, as we probably all gonna guess, 5 beautiful portions of fruit and veg a day. Okay, these can be fresh, frozen, canned, dried, juiced. Don't care, just get them in you. Okay, get them in you. Even if you're not pregnant or trying to get pregnant, get them in you. Okay, this should be what everyone's doing anyway. Starchy carbs are really good for you whilst pregnant, and even when not pregnant. Starchy carbs are just very, very good for energy. And yes, they are an important source of energy, containing certain vitamins and fibre. This includes bread, potatoes, breakfast cereals, rice, pasta, noodles. Opt for wholemeal instead of refined white versions when possible. So have your bread, but try and go for brown bread if you can, because it's going to have a better fibre and just nutrient content in general. Rice, try go for brown. Pasta, try go for brown. You know, that's but yeah, have all of the carbohydrates that you need. Okay. Next up, protein. Okay, so aim to have 2 portions of fish each week, but you want to avoid shark, swordfish and marlin. I've never heard of that fish before. Can you tell I'm veggie? If you're eating eggs, make sure you are buying ones with the British Lion stamp mark, which I think is very important now, because I've been seeing, not that I buy eggs, but I've been seeing that there's like an egg crisis in the UK. I don't know how big this crisis is. I've just seen a couple of posts. So yeah, make sure if you are pregnant / trying to get pregnant, you are buying eggs with the British Lion stamp mark, because I think I saw some eggs from like Italy the other day, like a picture in like one of the UK supermarkets. I don't know what's happening, but yeah. So yeah, make sure the British Lion stamp mark is on it. And this is because the food safety controls have been improved over the years. Okay, so it's just avoiding any unnecessary stuff going in you that you don't need, you know. Okay, so this is something that I definitely want to touch on during this podcast, and this is the age-old myth of, well, now I'm pregnant, I'm eating for 2. This is not how it works, and I'm sorry to tell you that you can't just eat until your heart's content when you're pregnant. Okay, even though you feel like you can justify it, you don't need to eat for 2. Okay, you'll naturally be hungrier than normal when pregnant, but you'll only need around an extra 200 calories per day or so, and that's literally the same as 2 slices of wholemeal toast and margarine. So we only need a little bit more. We don't need to be going overboard, you know, because you've got to think, you know, you're impacting your own health and your own weight, and potentially the babies as well, because, you know, if it becomes kind of a bigger thing and it continues throughout pregnancy, you know, it could potentially just make things a little bit more difficult. And, you know, I'm always a big believer in, if there are things that you can control to make the outcome more in your favour or better, why not do it, you know? So this is why I'm so on it with, you know, making sure people are active and they're like eating well, but also they can have treats and stuff and they don't feel like they need to, you know, not have them, because otherwise they're going to put on 1,000 pounds. Luckily, not how life works. But yes, when you're pregnant, you do not need to eat for 2. Okay, we don't need to be shoving 4,000 calories down our throats every single day. Okay, it's not going to be good for you. It's going to make you feel more lethargic, and then ultimately it's going to impact the baby. Okay, and yeah, I'm assuming that's probably not what you want to do. But also, now this was something, so when my mum had my youngest brother when I was 13, so I kind of saw her go through her pregnancy. Can't really remember much of it, but the thing I always remember is we would always go to Asda and mum had these vouchers, so we would buy so much fruit and veg, and it would essentially all be free or like discounted or something. I can't remember exactly how it worked, but I'm assuming, I did a little bit of research to see if these vouchers were still a thing, and they are. And they're basically called Healthy Start vouchers, which are given to you through the NHS to buy things such as milk, plain. I'm assuming that I was supposed to write bread, but I wrote plain. Anyway, yeah, milk, fresh and frozen fruit, vegetables in local shops, and you can also get vouchers for free vitamins as well. So, you know, if you're in a position where you can't really afford the extra pennies on some vitamins, and you know, you're pregnant / gonna fall, or trying to fall pregnant, then yeah, I would head over to www.nhs.uk/startforlife/pregnancy, and you will find a little button for Healthy Start vouchers. Click on that and follow what it tells you to do. I didn't click on it, so I can't give you any advice from here. But yeah, just thought I'd tell you about them because I feel like it's important and encourages you to get your fruit and veg in a little bit more, you know. So yeah, I always remember mum just making so many dishes with vegetables. Obviously my favourite one was obviously cauliflower cheese. It was delicious. We have that quite often. Absolutely loved it. But yeah, just thought I'd mention those because I don't know if everyone knows about them, but I do, so spreading the knowledge. Anyway, that is all for today's podcast. I hope you did enjoy. I know it's a little bit different, so yeah, I hope this was helpful. Please leave some kind of comment on anything, so whether that be Spotify, YouTube, the Honesty Pod Instagram, the Honesty Pod TikTok, any of those, or even my own personal Instagram at BethQFitness. But thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and follow me on Instagram at BethQFitness. And if you're interested in finding out more about the Body Confidence Coaching Program, or if you have any questions, please drop me a message on Instagram at BethQFitness. Apart from that, have a bloody lovely day or night or morning. I don't know when you're listening to this. And I'll see you in the next one.